All right, everyone, we'll be starting in just a moment. All right, hello again, everyone. This time I'm hoping the camera is working, the audio is working, everything is looking good, and I see some bars bouncing, so let's get started. So as I showed you in the last video, if you watched it, this is basically the results of all that cutting. There's about 50 different pieces here from 5 or 6 different layers pretty much. And my job here today is to assemble them into a full map, which is going to take a little bit of time because these big pieces you see here are going to be relatively easy to put together. They are pretty obvious, but there's loads of tiny pieces I'm going to have to stick together, and that's going to be a massive pain. But still, if you want to, you can sit here and watch along. So let's get going to it. First of all, I'm going to cut to a slightly better shot than this particular one. Let's go to, I don't know, how about that one there? Lovely. So as you can see here, lots of big pieces. I'm going to start with the obvious and easiest pieces, which are these giant pieces you see here. Now the way the landscape works basically is that the base layer obviously is the biggest. In fact, somewhere around here there is a giant single piece, which is the actual base of the thing, which you think I would have prepped before this, but apparently not. Oh, there it is. Lovely. Oh. So these here are the giant base layers. There are 2 of them. We'll just... so we have almost 3 of them. Look at that. There's so many pieces here. It is ridiculous. So we have one big giant base piece. That is literally just a square. It's the base for all of the different terrain on the map. These are also very sticky still, which is fun. On top of that, we have a couple of very big pieces. This is the sea level contour. So it's basically, again, pretty much totally flat, apart from a few cutouts, because on the Breath of the Wild map, there are in fact some places below sea level. The canyons in the back corner of the map are below sea level. My first job probably is to get these stuck together. So let's go and do that. I'm just going to unceremoniously clear most of these to one side. I will say, today has been a lot of peeling of masking tape. It took me probably over 2 hours. I am investigating better tapes that are less sticky to this semi-gloss paper, because even painter's tape is incredibly sticky. It was a nightmare. So there's apparently a painter's tape for delicate surfaces, which comes in a purple color. So I'm going to try that and see how that works. So first 2 pieces, I'm going to pull in the shot here, and then we're going to just take some of this, everyone's favorite. It is Elmer's multi-purpose glue, which I would probably still call PVA glue. And just going to dab that all around here. There we go, lovely. Yes, that looks all right. And we're going to go. So the nice thing about these big pieces is that it's not too important to stick the insides in, as long as you get a reasonable coverage. There is a tiny hole, if you can see. I'm not sure you see. Oh, there it is. There's a tiny hole in this one, which is for a tiny other piece of the map, which is below sea level. There we go. Just going to line that up. As I mentioned yesterday, the cut accuracy on this one is a little substandard, because I had to correct for it after printing. So it's going to be a little rough and ready. And I've got a lot less tolerance than I'd like, but it should come out pretty well. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty secure. Just press it down, give it some adhesion. The nice thing, like, this glue does allow repositioning. It's not super tacky, but it will still work pretty well even without that. Actually, I'm going to go and turn these lights on so you can see better. That'd be a good idea. There we go. The wonder of studio lighting. Oh yes, Elizabeth. So the one I posted on Twitter before, which is actually, I have it right here, is this one. It's a much smaller size, basically. So this one is standard US letter size. It is 8.5 by 11 inches. And of course I wanted to make it bigger. So you can actually see a comparison here of this versus the new bigger size map. So it's basically about twice as big area-wise, maybe bigger than that actually, maybe 3 times as big area-wise. And basically, to counteract for that, the vertical difference, like these here are like 2 layers of heavy cardstock. These are made out of 3 layers. It's a bit more vertically prominent as well. So basically, like, this was always a prototype. I did this quickly on the laser printer, and just sort of, it came out way better than I expected for a prototype. But this is like maybe the final version, as it were. So the intent is that this is going to be the big proper one. It's printed on a super nice, like, fancy inkjet printer. If you look closely, like on the laser, you can see all the it's not very high detail. You kind of lose some of the detail. On this, you can see every single tiny individual tree. It is honestly stunning. I'm going to try and get some good close-up photos to post on Twitter and stuff once I'm done, because it's kind of hard to convey without being here in person, but it does look really nice. Okay, so let's get that in there. All right, I'm going to pull up this. This is layer 3. So these base layers are kind of boring. They're mostly just land terrain and stuff like that. Like you can see here, the majority of Hyrule, the main center area, is on this one. So these are the easy parts. I almost did these beforehand, but that would deny you the fun of me wittering for ages, which is always great. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. There's a little peninsula there. Let's pull up the close-up view so we can see better. Let's see, where's the camera shot? There it is. Pop that there. So those who are keenly observant will already notice that there's an area here that is not on the base plates. There is a little sort of outcropping on the edge of the map, which is totally separate from the rest of the land, actually kind of part of the background of the game. And the problem there is that there's like maybe 7 pieces here, because it's incredibly tall. It's like one of the tallest things in the game, and they're all incredibly similar shapes. And so later on, I have to go and work out exactly which one of those is which. It's going to be a nightmare. So that'll be fun. But until then, I can get going with this. Okay, that's pretty good coverage. I'm just going to smear these edge pieces to get some good adhesion. One of the nice things about being thicker board here is that it does bend less. The laser cut one, some of the pieces kind of peeled up as I was sticking them down, so I sort of go and then rescue it with a bit of a toothpick and some glue. Whereas, oh, that's a bit too much glue there. Whereas this one, because of the thicker nature, does peel up a lot less, which is very nice. Okay, so that looks pretty close. I can't see any white. So the way this works is it only prints out colour where there's actually terrain. And so if you do it wrong and line it up wrong, the sort of unprinted white part of the stuff shows through. Okay, that seems pretty good. I'm gonna double check before it dries. Oh, I missed a bit of masking tape right there. Okay, I'm gonna rescue that. Oh, it's already very sticky, you can see. Let's try and rescue that. There we go. Come on, masking tape. I must have missed you, I'm sorry. There we go. Lovely. Nothing like a last minute opportunity to hide your crimes. Okay. Give a good stick down and all that. I probably will miss a few pieces. I bet some of these tiny little bits of land will peel up at some point, but I'll just go in and rescue them with a squirt of glue again later, probably. It's the way of things. Okie doke. Right. That is the basic 3 layers done. Now we get to start on the slightly more exciting shapes. So I'm going to start with the big ones, obviously. These big ones are basically the easier pieces to do because they have these very unique shapes. Like I can tell straight away that this is the next layer, this goes on that because they obviously tile together. But it's the tiny islands and tops of mountains that will be difficult. But first off, this one. So lovely, that's most of the map now, apart from the coastal regions. So we're just going to dab on. So I start putting glue on the back of these instead. I was putting glue down here before, but at some point I'm going to lose track of what I'm gluing down. So it's much easier to know, just put on the back of this so I know what I'm doing. Okay, just trace around the landscape there. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, tiny peninsula. Little dab of glue there, little dab of glue there, and there. There we go. Some up here. What is that? Oh, yeah. It's a nice snowy region with the birds. It's my favourite region in the game. Okay. Place that down very gently. And we can just about. There we go. Oh, there's a little bit of glue leaking out there, so I'm going to dab away at that. This glue does kind of mostly dry clear, so you can leave a little bit of it in there, but you can, it's kind of a milky clear, so you can definitely see it if you don't mop it up. It's one of the things I failed on this earlier print, is I left a few pieces a little bit overglued. If you look closely, you can see them. Again, not too bad for a prototype, but kind of annoying if you're doing the supposed final one. Like, I'm hoping this will be the final version. I don't yet know if it will be. I could still, screw this up, or even have screwed up and lost a piece in the meantime. But I'm been pretty happy so far with this. I've got some prototypes here. So this is my first prototype of what I've tried to do full scale. It is basically laser cut plywood. It's a lot thicker vertically, but the charred edges I think kind of ruined the aesthetic on that one. So give a pass to that one. And then this is the sort of scale model of this method which I made, which is, you can see like the vertical scale of these is quite different. There we go. They are quite different thicknesses, but that's kind of part of it. Like, it turns out that the thinner maps look better. I've even got a little one made purely out of like one layer of cardstock. It looks kind of nice, and also a lot easier to do, thankfully. So I might try and make a few of those. My next idea for after this is doing some like maybe famous national parks from around the world and stuff like that. Okay, that looks stuck down very nicely indeed. Okay, 1 or 2 big pieces. And then after this, I'm going to go and get what I call the construction images. So this printed out on 6 different huge sheets. The sheets are all this big size here. And because of that, so it basically used to be 11, 1 per layer. It's now 6 to save on paper and card. But as a result, I don't know which layer each of the pieces is from. So I've got some little sheets that my program outputs that tells me every individual piece, and it has a number on it which tells me which layer it's part of. So I'm going to go fetch those, and while I do that later on, I will play a short video of the laser cutting I did of these pieces from last night, which is much better recorded than the stream was. The stream yesterday had a lot of issues. Firstly, the main camera here died. That was unfortunate. Sony cameras have this thing where they overheat a lot if you stress them, and I'd left it in 60 frames per second mode, so it got a bit stressed out and overheated. But it is now on 30 frames per second mode, and it's been stable all day, so thank goodness for that. Oh, more painter's tape I missed. It's a very similar colour to the water, so I've missed a couple of them here and there, but they're not too hard to peel off in small pieces. Lovely. Okay, so that's already looking fantastic. Goodness me. Already looking good. I'll pull the camera off the stand at the end and get some proper close-up shots of this, but really is looking quite nice already. Okay, now get a little bit harder. Oh no, that's this piece. This is going to be next, right? This is part of Death Mountain. Yeah, there we go. That goes right there. Lovely. So let's put some glue on this one. There we go. A little bit on these peninsulas. The one change I might make to the software, so it has a thing where it doesn't print out very small islands or like tops of mountains, but it does still print out these very thin bits of peninsula here, so I might try and make it so it doesn't do that in future. Because it's surprising how much detail you can forego and still make things look good. And the thin pieces really are, like, that's kind of an okay size, but there are some pieces here that are like a 1 millimeter thin, which is like a 16th of an inch, I think, in old money. And those are incredibly hard to print properly. There we go. Yes. I believe this is the Akala region, if I remember correctly. But crucially, Death Mountain is the big, scary, volcano-y part that I think is the prominent landmark here. All right. Lovely, lovely. Okay, I'm going to pop this one more piece on, and then I'll cut to the laser cutting for a bit while I go fetch the construction images. Let's see here. Pop that on there. And then place it just down here. Oh yeah, there we go. I initially worried the giant cliffs at the edge of the map would look bad and thought about cropping them out, but actually adds to everything at the end. Like having that huge cliff at the edge really cements how tall these areas are. Great. All right, cool. So I am going to cut live to myself in the past. Not live, it's recorded. It's about 5 minutes showing some of the laser cutting, actual video of the laser. It's filmed on a much better camera than yesterday's, that'd be nice. That was all from much later last night and during the day. And then I'll be back and I'll do some of the tiny pieces. So let's go over to that. Thanks, me. So you join me here in the garage and we're here to cut a few more of the sheets for the map. So first things first is I've already masked these ones. If you watched my previous live stream, you'll see me doing this very slowly and systematically. But essentially every single edge the laser is going to cut through, we've masked off with this blue painter's tape. That's to stop the laser discoloring the edges as it goes through. It's not actually the laser, it's the smoke that comes from it, but it leaves this weird yellowish orange color on the paper. So we've masked it to prevent that. The tape will catch the smoke and we'll peel it off later, hence painter's tape. It leaves no residue and that will help us do everything. So time to put this in. I know this is page 5, I've got the reference up on my computer here. So I'm going to place it in and I'm going to line up the outline of it manually because I haven't still yet got a good registration system for lining it up automatically. So you can see here the laser interior. In particular, there's a small red dot under the laser head right here. Now, that red dot isn't the actual cutting laser, it's a secondary laser that you use for positioning, but it goes through the same optics. So we know that wherever that dot is where that actual laser is going to cut later on. So my first task is to line up that corner like this with the corner of this black outline. In the software, I made it output an outline around the edge of the piece. Let's put it about there. And in the output, both the picture and the cut lines have this built-in rectangle. So I use it for manual registration, that is lining up of where everything is. Okay, that looks pretty good, at least by eye. It's probably not correct, so I'm going to run what's called a framing command, which will make the laser go around what it thinks is the edge. Okay, that's pretty spot on left-right, but it's a bit off in the vertical. So reposition it very slightly and try again. Okay, taking a closer look, I can tell it's rotated slightly. So the nice thing is this honeycomb here is on magnets rather than being bolted down, so I can manually move it a little. Oh, that's still a bit off. There we go, let's try that. Oh, that's much better. Okay, almost bang on. One more tiny tweak. Of course, if you do it wrong, you can ruin the whole thing by just moving it with your hands. There we go. Now, by eye, that looks pretty much dead on. So we are going to close the lid. So I've positioned the laser outside of the protective top here. That's why it's colored a little yellow. It blocks the wavelength of the laser, so it's not going to harm me or the optics of this rather expensive camera. In future, I'm going to try to get a GoPro directly inside there, because it's almost certainly going to be fine. But for now, we'll just view it from outside. So now I've got the cut in, I'm going to make sure I've got my air flowing. So I've got my exhaust fan. You can probably hear that in the background as a low hum. That draws the air out. We're also going to turn on the compressor. That's going to push the air through the nozzle to prevent smoke going into it. Smoke going into the nozzle is bad because it tends to get on the focus lens and the mirrors and generally defocus the lens and make it melt itself rather than the thing below it. So good, we're ready to go. The temperature looks pretty good on the chiller, so let's hit go. This whole process takes a while. This one's estimated to run in at about 4 minutes. So we'll jump ahead a little bit and see how it looks like after the end. All right, so now we've finished cutting, so we can open the chamber, make sure the head is as far back as it can go, and just make sure we've cut through properly. So I'm going to lift the edge here, and you can see some nice clean cuts through. It's pulling away very nicely there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on these to keep them in place as I lift this out. All right, I've taped it all up, so we're going to lift it out, make sure it's going to hold together. Oh, I missed one piece. I always miss one piece. But there we go. So I'll get to cutting a few more of these, and until then, back to you in the studio. Thanks, me. So, as I was saying beforehand, I've got lots of small pieces to do, and I've now gone and fetched my laptop here, and I've got the construction images. You can see them very well from that far away, but they are basically cutouts of every single layer with all the pieces highlighted with sort of this big pink outline, so I know exactly where they are. But until then, there's a few pieces I definitely can tell just looking at this, like this big piece here. So we'll keep going with that stuff and we will give it a go. Let's see if we want that one. Yeah, let's pop to that view. There we go. All right. So this is down here on the southeastern corner. Now, one of the most prominent features if you play Breath of the Wild is one of the early game quests points you down to this area. And there's a pair of mountains called the Dueling Peaks, which is maybe the most prominent landscape feature of this region. I was really determined to make those, at least try and come out in this picture. It has been difficult. The height map I have for this that I ripped from, I believe it's from the game files. I found it on a site. It's very accurate, but I'm pretty sure there are a few places where the height map doesn't work. I think it's more of a distance height map. And unfortunately, the Dueling Peaks are one of those areas. And so it does have most of their outline, but there's a few places on those peaks where it's kind of like, basically they are, in the game, they kind of have this undercut and then go up like that. And the height map doesn't understand the undercut. So it looks pretty good. I wish it could be better. Maybe it's another thing to come back and try and improve on if I go for another revision of this. But honestly, it's already a lot better than this first version here was. And I think I'll be pretty happy with the result when it's done. Okay, that is on there nicely. Oh gosh, okay. So what is one thing I made yesterday? I pre-assembled most of Death Mountain here. So I'm just gonna glue that on now. Here's one I made earlier, as they always say. There we go. Great. A little bit of dabbing. I'm using my finger here to make sure it's not going to bleed out of these edges and spread it all over there. Lovely. These lava rivers do really help lining it up, of course. Oh, look at that. Majestic. I also I added one extra layer on this version compared to the previous laser printer based one, because I thought, well, A, it's good, and B, when I ran the numbers, it still used 6 pages, so I was wasting the same amount of material either way, which was, yeah, I was like, oh, sure, let's go for it. Where does that go? Question. Is it? Oh, there we go. Yes, it fits right there. See, we're still kind of in easy mode here. These are the relatively unique shape parts. I'm dreading, there's at least 10 tops of mountains that all look identical, and half of them have got lakes in them. So that's going to be a little bit of a nightmare to try and figure out. The one saving grace is that the map style in Breath of the Wild strictly colors by elevation. And so the higher it is, the more it goes from brown to white, which means that you can at a glance at least work out roughly what layer you're supposed to be in, even if you don't exactly know. So some of the pieces are very, very white, so I know they're the very tops of areas. Some of them are quite brown, so I know they're probably going to be lower down. There's kind of this weird middle, yellowish color too, which is easy to place. I did try and translate this into QGIS to get actual maps that look like this, as I mentioned yesterday, but it doesn't look quite as good if you just blindly do it. Something about the contour lines and the trees. The USGS does have this kind of amazing data set of all, not only land coverage, is it grassland or forest or plains, but actual forestation cover. So in theory, one could make a map of the US has actual, not individual trees, although you could do that in places like San Francisco that do map them. But you could do things like relative tree density and make it look relatively realistic, which would be quite fun. Okay. What else is big? That's quite big, but it's also quite a light color, so I'm not sure we're there yet. How about this piece? Is this piece ready yet? Yes. Lovely. Okay. Let us pop this piece on here. I am glad that so far the camera has in fact not overheated. And I've even changed the thing that shows me audio levels on the screen. So unlike yesterday, where I foolishly, I hurriedly swapped from this camera to the camera you're seeing right here that does the main shots. That camera is set to microphone level for audio. this camera is set to line level, or at least was set to line level. So I hurriedly switched, and then I worked out that, oh, hey, like everything is way too quiet because line and mic levels are different in audio. And so I mostly rescued that earlier by running it through Premiere and really like adding a lot of sound, a lot of decibels to the other tracks, but it still sounds kind of quiet, even after like 15 decibels of improvement. So that is a slight issue. See, I can tell I've made a very slight error here. I can see some little of that white poking through. Let's see if we've got, right, it's already got too much adhesion here, I think. Oh no, it's coming up slowly. I'm gonna get one of my little things to pull it up with. Let's see if we can't rescue this, shall we? It's not too bad, I could live with it anyway, but given the chance I've spotted it, I should probably try and rescue it. So I'm just gonna leave that in there. Come on, my friend. Let's cooperate today, shall we? Yeah, there we go, there we go. I have these for getting 3D prints off of the print beds, and this is a very similar situation in terms of stickiness. Come on. Don't want to damage anything. Lovely, great. That's not too bad at all. Okay, try number 2. Let's put a bit more glue on there. So it's going to be a little bit rough under there, but I hope you can just press it down and not worry about that. There we go. Okay, second time's the charm, as I've never heard anyone say. I'm just going to hold that in place for about 10 seconds here to try and get some good adhesion. It probably would be better to use spray glue in terms of it being straight tacky, but the problem with spray glue is you spray it and it's on, it's basically on. You've got about 10 seconds to put it off, it's there basically for life. These pieces of card are actually all 3 layers of cardstock spray glued together, and I almost screwed this up a few times yesterday out back. Recovered, thankfully. I have extra pieces of card, I could throw one away, but that was a little bit close. Cool, so that little mistake I've made has been fixed, thank goodness, so I don't have to live with the knowledge of it being on my wall every day. Okay, next piece is but no, that's too small. How about this piece? Ah, that is the correct piece. So we can pop that on here, like this. We'll just put a bit more pressure underneath at this point too. Let's pull that center, there we go. All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'll be doubly sure to check all sides of it this time because I don't make the same mistake again. But that's pretty nice. There we go. There we go. Lovely. And I'm guessing this is probably that one. Yes, it is. Oh. This is honestly a little bit easier than I was expecting, and I'm so glad about that. Though I haven't got over there yet, so I'll hold my comments until the end. Let's pop that on there. Yeah, this is one of the pieces. There's a very small sliver, I'm not sure you can see it on the stream here, of a piece on the edge of this. I'm going to make very careful not to snap that off. The nice thing with laser cutters is, unlike mechanical cutters, laser cutters do not care about if it's small or not. As long as it has some width, they will cut it for you and leave it there. Because the laser does not exert force, it merely evaporates. So they are good for doing tiny details as long as you can then manually preserve the details with your handling later on. Okay, so that's that bit done. I am running out of road here, but this is a weird shape, so I can find where it goes. Oh, was it this bit? There we go. That's the piece. This is quite a fun jigsaw puzzle. Let's pop that on there. There, let it glue. Lovely. There we go. Let's line that up. Oh yes, very nice. And some areas like this, there are roads on the map, and the roads are the perfect way of making sure you're properly aligned. Because unlike the contour lines, they are rare and very distinct. But yeah, there we go. That's good. Okay, this also looks pretty unique. So where does that get? There? No? Yeah. Ah, there it is. That's it. That's it. There we are. Let's pop that on there. I do love how wonderfully low tech this is after the, like, you know, go and use a giant laser to evaporate pieces, and then the last hour or so is me sitting here muttering and gluing. There's something quite reassuring about that in a way. I like it when making and fabrication has a fun high-tech element and a boring low-tech element. Oh, a little bit, there we go. I can see a little bit of white there, so I have to move it up and hide it behind. Lovely, okay. Now we're getting down to it. Oh, that looks relatively unique. Where's that from? Nope, not there. So I know it must be the edge of the map because it's got a long straight bit on it up here. Let's just work out which edge of the map it is now. Oh, must be this one. Ah, it's that one but a high level. So where is the lower level piece? Not that. That's up. Okay, well that's up there, so we can do that now. Straight around is that way. There we go. Yes, that is the right way around. Pop that on there. One of the things I debated doing as well with this is I can adjust the number of contour layers. The software just takes literally a list of numbers, which is the heights it slices at. I was like, oh, I could do, you know, like, so this is 11 layers. I could do 20 or 30, and you get much more detail. It looks almost like a pure three-dimensional map at that point, but it does massively increase the amount of work required and also the amount of material required. So while you can make the layers less thick, you can make them like one layer of card, you're printing a lot more pages, and the fancy semi-gloss paper here is the expensive thing. And thankfully, I got word that it is arriving tomorrow rather than Wednesday, so I can keep going on this project a bit sooner than expected. Okay, double check for print errors. That looks pretty good. Lovely. Okay, it's really coming together already. I wish I could stop now, but I can never do that. Okay, where is this bit? Okay, I feel like there's a big bit somewhere that I haven't got, because this bit is supposed to be there. Oh, maybe that's it? Ah, there we go. There's two pieces that look similar. That bit and then that bit. Okay. Let's put those on, shall we? This is the mountains that surround the desert region. What I do like about the game is they didn't quite subscribe to the trope of, oh, desert means hot. The mountains around the deserts are actually very cold, which is super nice to see and quite lovely. It's also the tallest in the game. If you when I print this out, the very last contour is this area right here. I think it's maybe just the same height or slightly higher than Death Mountain. I know there are a few versions of the height map though, so I'm not sure what version I have. I'm not sure what distance it is, because like the actual height map when you get it is maybe like double the size of this. It's because it has all the like distant landscape you can see the distance to. You can't ever get there in the game, but it still renders it sort of to make it look complete. So it has that in it too. So I have to like slice it down to the central section before I could do this stuff. Thank you, Audrey. It looks really cool here as well. It looks even better when it's finished, hopefully. One thing I do love is like I somehow lucked onto this, but like this method of using semi-gloss paper on card, these feel like really nice high-quality board game pieces, or like those nice cutouts you get. Like, there's a good tactile feel to them. I love that about this. So like even putting it together is kind of fun because like it just feels solid. It's nice. I did find out that last stream in my video, I was wondering like, well, surely somebody must sell this stuff, right? You must be able to buy like 1.5 mil thick cardboard that's not plywood. And I discovered today when I was inspired, and I in fact Googled, I DuckDuckGo'd, in fact, I searched for board game cardboard. And I was just like, well, there must be a forum somewhere where some board game enthusiasts have decided to make their own board games and found out a good source of cardboard. And lo and behold, I think the second result was, oh, you should go and use this thing called chipboard. And yes, I went into the internet, typed in chipboard, and that's totally the thing that you use for this stuff. So thankfully, I can save myself a large amount of just gluing pieces of thinner card together in future and just buy some chipboard. So I'm very excited about that as well. That I have ordered from, it wasn't from Amazon because A, I try not to give them too much money, and B, they're very slow these days. From some other site I ordered that. Well, there we go. That's a nice easy fit over here. Let's move this piece of out of that there. So I ordered that, should be here hopefully next week. And so when I continue this project into other maps, I will hopefully have a little bit of an easier time of just like gluing just the printed surface onto some chipboard and then lasering it and cutting a good hour or so out of the process. And then if I can find that good masking tape that peels straight off rather than taking an hour each time, this might even be reasonable to do again and again and again, which would be lovely. Like part of me would love to like have a way to send these out as kits and have like this stage be the bit you do at home, right? And just like all the cutting and stuff, and you get this nice box of pieces, they're all done, you can just sit here and glue it together. It's a nice project to do. But I do not think I have the commercial scale to do that right now, but future thoughts. Okay, we're getting down to the not very obviously shaped pieces. Okay, where's, ooh, no. So this piece has a little, I'm not sure you can see it there, it has a little hole in it right here. And so I'm looking for a lake that's got some cross hatching around it to put this on, because that's going to be the sign that it's where it needs to go. Where would it be? Goodness me. Okay, I might have to, oh, no, there it is. I found it. That's where it goes. There we go. Right down there on the southern edge of the map. Pop you on here. A little tiny dazzle bit on that one. It's a very small piece, but there are some roads on it, thank goodness, so I can align it perfectly. There we go. I think this is where the horse shrine is, am I right? I don't quite remember all the game, but it's about time to play it again soon. I think maybe in the end of the year, that kind of time frame. There we go. Roads lined up, printing marks obscured. I call that a success. That is quite large. Is that the bit for it? No, that's not. Is that the bit for it? No. Oh, goodness me. Here we go. Okay, well, that is there. There we go. That's there. All right. Definitely getting down to it now. Pop that on here. One suggestion I did like, I got on Twitter from a friend of mine, was to resin print tiny little towers to put on the map for the details. That'd be quite fun. So I might do one of those. I also kind of sad that the Rito village and the Zora village here are kind of flat. They're not really part of the height map. Again, it's a terrain height map, not a feature height map. I'd love to have those, like the Rito village in particular is actually very tall. It's like as tall as the land around it is. But it's also just too small. I think it might be in the height map, but like my software was like, it's tiny, Andrew. There's no way I can cut that and have you glue it properly. So I just cut it out. So alas, it is not here, but I can live with that. Oh, there we go. Look. Oh, how is it? Somehow there is masking tape on the back of this, which is unusual because I did not tape the back of these. So that's a fun one. Come off, there you go. Let's pop that on here. And there we go. A little smidge of glue. Lovely. Oh, there is this wonderful feeling when a project you've been working on, thinking about for weeks, months, finally starts coming together, and it just feels good. Like I've been trying to think about like 3D maps like this for honestly for years. The problem previously was like laser cutter access was difficult, especially after I moved to Denver, because there's precious few maker spaces in the Denver area. There's some good ones. But the biggest community one is like half an hour to 45 minutes drive north, which is a long way. And there's a good one run by the university in the middle of town, and they're lovely, they're great people. But unfortunately, I got access there a week before everything got shut, thanks to our friend COVID-19. So I hope to visit there again, but I will say having things shut down did finally make me spend the money and get my own laser cutter. And I'm very glad I did. I always worry when I buy things that are kind of, I say personal indulgences, not quite presents, but they are certainly indulgences, that I won't find a good use for them. And so I kind of make a point to make sure I have a project in mind before I buy something. It's a pretty good way to do things, in my opinion. For example, like when I bought my vinyl cutter, I was like, oh, I want to make some t-shirts with Wipeout stuff on them. And so when I got like 3 or 4 designs, I was like, okay, I priced this up. It's not too unreasonably priced. I can afford this. And the heat press file's easy to get. And I got one. The heat press itself, you can't see it as off camera here, but it's like this weird, slightly cheap, I'm almost certainly Chinese origin heat press from Amazon, the depths of Amazon, like some random seller page. It has not yet caught fire, but I'm always suspicious that it will catch fire. So I only ever press t-shirts with it when I'm like here and prepped and have like a fire extinguisher hanger just in case. I'm sure it's fine. It's just coils and a thing, but always a little bit wary of that one. All right. Okay. So I'm just picking the easy ones right now because this is the way. So this is more of our friend the volcano. This is the first time I'm going to turn to my construction page because I do not know which way around it goes because it's basically circular. So I am going to, I'm not sure my password on stream first of all. Okay. So let's go up levels here. Contour 100. I don't want to draw on the image windows, come on. Nope, not that level. The problem is these images are like 4,000 pixels high. So my laptop is, shall we say, chugging a little bit trying to load them. Oh, goodness me, come on. Okay, let's quit out and do it manually. I think it's that one. Let's see. It has got white in the middle of it, so it's definitely not a complete version. Oh, really? Has it just locked up? Computers, everyone. Computers. Oh, there we go. Come on. Open. There we are. Okay, next page. It's not that one. There we go. So I can look at the details of the lava pits here. That Y. Okay, it goes that way around. So the only main reference I have is this cross hatching is always 45 degrees, so when it's only one of 4 rotations, so you need to narrow it down to work out which of those 4 rotations it actually is. Oh, I've got a piece stuck to me. Oh no. Oh, I have. Thank you. These are very sticky. You can imagine like in about 10 minutes being like, I've lost the piece, where is it? And it's like missing, it was on me. Thanks, Elizabeth. Oh, okay. Wait, now I lost the rotation. There we go, okay. Yeah, the masking tape and this surface plays havoc with each other. They're completely sticky. Like this one here is pretty much only stuck together with the residual stickiness of the painter's tape. And so when you're peeling these off, like not only is it hard to peel off, but like it's very sticky. You get like weird fingerprints of like everywhere. So I'd like make sure I only hold these white pieces, and it was kind of a nightmare. Okay, let's finish the volcano because I've only got one layer left here, and I've got the picture pulled up. Okay, so there's no cross hatching on this one, so it could be any rotation, but it does have a bit more of an unusual shape. There we go. That's right. There we go. Lovely. Yeah, I do wish I could automate this more. I kind of just love like, you know, 6 by 6 inch or 12 by 12 inch, one of each of these for, I know, each state, or each of the interesting states, I guess. Some states are just flat. That'd be fun. You know, one of the problems I have with my side project to make tiny models of all the national parks is that like most national parks are like fun and have terrain and mountains and they look pretty good when they're milled. And some national parks have like a total elevation difference of like 2 meters or maybe 5 meters. It's like Congaree National Park in South Carolina. Quite fun actually. It's a good bit of like, it's like a very swampy park. There were some huge spiders. So I wasn't too keen on those, but not too bad. They're quite fun to look at from a distance. But it's all flat. And so when I tried to mill it, I just got a flat bit of aluminium. I was like, oh, damn it. So I think I went in and just like massively exaggerated its height. It's like, there's like a river at one end and like 10 meters up to the other end of the park is like where the car park is. So it's like, oh, it kind of works, but I might just like try and make it engraved paths on that one. I think same problem if you do states or even national parks of this. Like someone will just be a flat print like, hey, this is just a flat state. No offense to people in Kansas, but Kansas is pretty flat, for example. Whereas Colorado, very, very mountainy. So it's kind of a different approach you need for each one. Okay, so volcano, Jess Mountain, done. Fantastic. That's something. I'm going to keep avoiding this thing because it's really annoying. and focus on the other pieces. So that is like a mid-level piece. Is it there? No, it's a bit higher than, a bit lower than that. Is it one of these? Ooh. Oh, that's the right shape. There we go. I bet that's it. Okay, I'm going to just place these now before I glue them, because otherwise I'm going to make a mistake, to make sure I have them all matched up pretty well. So that, I make it there. There it is. That, no. Oh, some of these are very tiny. My goodness. That probably goes somewhere here. Oh, no, it goes right there, doesn't it? There we go. Okay, that one I'm pretty sure about because I've remember that part of the map, so I'll glue that one. I can just see myself forgetting otherwise and picking up and go, I'm done! It all falls off. This is one of those areas, and you can't quite see it, I'll try and focus it in later, where there's a waterfall, and they come through, honestly, really nicely on this, because you get this little slot, and it goes down for 4 or 5 layers, and it looks fantastic. There we go. That's behaving pretty nicely. There, lovely. Okay. Let's, it's pieces like this. I have no idea where this goes. It has no detail whatsoever. It's very generically coloured. I know it's not very high altitude. Oh, is it that one? I think it's that one. Oh, yeah. That's probably it. Okay, so I'm going to put up some pictures now because this is somewhat ridiculous. Okay, so let's try and do this area here because that one should be reasonably easy to identify. So I think this is this piece, right? Yeah, there we go. This is one of the few ones I found yesterday because they were on the same sheet. The software does try and keep the same layers together, but it also, like, its first priority is saving space and material, and then second priority is to keep them grouped. So sometimes you get an easy life and sometimes you don't. Oh, that one's mucky. Ugh. Have to clean that off later with a cleaner or something. There we go. The edges of this are a little bit burnt, so like you get a little bit of char on your fingers whenever you handle these, and sometimes if you push in the wrong place it rubs off. Let's just try and get rid of a little bit of it here. Okay. Goodness me, where would you go? Here? No? No, not there. Oh, no, it's the wrong colour though. The colour thing really is a lifesaver. So it's going to, I can see, not that you can see on the stream, there's a tiny little pond in a waterfall. So I'm now looking for a waterfall, which is not easy. Maybe because on top of this piece where that is. Huh? I bet that's this piece. No. Well, actually, yes. But that's the top of that piece, isn't that one? Okay, focusing. I've got a picture for this one, so let's do this one. So that one is a tiny, tiny little one that looks a little bit like that. Is it this one? Goodness me, these are small. No, that's the wrong weird irregular shape. It's that one, isn't it? Yeah, that's the one. It's a bit like a weird penguin's foot. Okay. So I really should put a zoom lens on this thing. That goes right there. Oh, there's some trees. Nice. There's a little bit cluster of trees, which is lined up and confirmed that my suspicions are correct there. There we go. There we go. Press down with something relatively clean, shall we? Lovely. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So what else have we got? So two long boys. Is that? Okay, that's that piece, because there are 2 trees in it. Oh, these trees are proving to be a lifesaver in terms of distinguishing these. And when I'll try and get a close up at the end. They are really tiny as well. I'd hoped to get a GoPro in on a lead for this one, but it did not get here yet. And I also do not have enough encoders to run it yet. So hopefully, if I do more of these in future, I can pull out a GoPro and show you at close range what it looks like. There we go. Lovely. Okay. And the other one's kind of a weird long piece. I bet it's that one. Yeah, there we go. That's the one. And that goes right there. These ones don't matter too much if you line them up perfectly because there's no rows or anything. Just make sure they look pretty good, which that does. Lovely, lovely. So this bit has got a cutout on it. Where would you be? Oh, it's underneath my piece of shop. What do you call that stuff? I forget. Shop towel, paper towel, whatever the Americans call it. There we go. It was funny when I first moved here, and I did not know the names for anything. And I'd often walk into the shop and be like, "Oh, can I have an X?" They'd be like, "What on earth is an X?" There's famous things like, like coriander and things like that, but which is cilantro. Rocket is arugula, but there are small. Like even this last weekend, I went to get a guillotine, a thing that cuts paper from Office Depot. I walked in and was like, "Oh, can I buy? Where are the guillotines?" And the poor guy looked at me and was like, slightly scared, like, "What's a guillotine?" I was like, "Oh, a thing that cuts paper with a big knife." I was like, "Oh, those," and walked me over to them. And they were called guillotines in the box. I'm not sure if that's a localization thing or just he didn't know thing, but it was quite funny to see him panic very briefly about me asking for guillotines before realizing I wanted that kind of guillotine. Okay, that can go there. Yeah, there's nowhere else that one can go. It's still quite a unique shape. So the one artifact you can see of me not having perfect laser alignment is the edges on this are not perfect. And in a perfect world I would go and sand them down with a belt sander or something, but there is in my opinion, a beauty to seeing how something is made. And that is certainly one of those things. Okay, that definitely is that piece. So I'm going to put, I think I've done everything on this layer, apart from this thing. We'll come back to that. Oh no, this bit, okay. Where is that? That looks like this. And it goes that way round. So it does. There we go. But yeah, I like seeing how things are made. Like back when, about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a commercial makerspace called Tech Shop in San Francisco and the Bay Area and a few other places. And they collapsed due to bankruptcy, maybe because of what I'm about to tell you, among other things. Unfortunately, the year afterwards. But while they're up, they were very handy. They charged I think like $100 a month. It was quite expensive. But one nice thing was you could sign up for this pass, which gave you unlimited classes for 6 months. And I went, okay. And I got the pass. There was like a joining offer, like, "Oh, join, you get that pass half price." So I bought the pass, I think it was like $300. And I proceeded to do every single class in every single machine they had in that shop. And they had like injection molding, they had a full wood shop, a full metal shop. They had like there's the t-shirt cutting, there was a big 3D mill, like everything. I'm telling you, like that 6 month period was probably like the most formative in terms of my skills developing as a maker or fabricator, because like there are some things I wasn't sure about, like do I want to learn this? Like it's kind of annoying to get one. And having the chance to try all that stuff was just incredible. Like there are some machines that are like, yeah, like this is super great, like injection molding, super great. Pieces that came out looked fantastic. But the work involved in making the mold for them before you even use the machine, like it has to be high volume stuff. Like making a mold by itself is like a half science, half art form kind of thing. And then having to then go and like run it properly and make sure it ejects properly was just, yeah. So it gave me a good perspective on like, oh, these are the things I want to learn, and these are the things I'm perfectly okay like outsourcing or doing elsewhere. Okay. Next layer down. Oh, I've done all that one too. Look at me. Okay, so this piece at the edge here has a tiny little lake on it apparently. Ah, there it is. Tiny little lake. Weird shape, yeah, weird shape. There we go. See, that's kind of where I was like, oh, laser cutters are useful, and milling machines especially are very useful. There are things you just can't do on any other machine that you can do on a milling machine. But other things, I was like, oh, honestly, like one example was the wood shop, right? Like, I'd love a full wood workshop. It would be great. Like, I would love I could use a big panel saw like 3 days ago. But it's one of those things where like having a portable circular saw gets you like 90% of the way, and it's a bit more annoying, and work holding is a pain. But if you're just slicing up sheets, you can do it. And so like woodworking is one of the bits I just have portable tools for that, and I'm building that up slowly. I've only got a few right now, but they're all wireless, they run on batteries, it's super nice. You can carry them around easily, they're not fixed to the floor. Bandsaw is one thing I want. Portable bandsaws do scare me because, like, what if we took one of the most dangerous tools in the entire workshop and made it portable? So whoever came up with that idea, I mean, congratulations, and also I'm very sorry. But like, they're great, but if you look at them, they're much more for, oh, that's loose. I told you I made a mistake. They're much more for like sawing through pipes and stuff. Like, you can't really clear behind the blade, unfortunately. So that's kind of the problem with those. There we go. Okay, I'm going to push these all together and hope I get it right. There we go. I do wonder if I should do the... so if you know anything about real life maps, you may have heard of something called trap streets, which I'm not sure if they are an international thing, but at least in the UK, I think it's pretty sure it's international. Map makers would insert fake streets into their maps. So if you copied someone else's map rather than making your own, they'd be like, ha, see, this Ravenholm street isn't actually here in real life. You definitely copied our map. And they could like basically go after you or whatever. I considered doing that here. It's got a fun little Easter egg, but I think it would be maybe a little bit too much. So, but one fun thing maybe is like put like one tiny mistake in and see if anyone ever notices when they see it. Okay, I think that is the top of that mountain. Yeah, that's that one. There we go. It is honestly quite a nice thing to do on a Monday afternoon, this, or Monday evening. It's been a pretty busy day at work. An even busier one tomorrow, on my birthday of all days, but that's fine. But still, to come here, just the annoying thing was all the taping and peeling and like just putting it together. This is really soothing. It's really nice. Okay, I bet that goes there. Yeah, it definitely goes there, right? Well, okay, I'm not super sure yet. I don't want to jump the gun on that one. Ooh, Okay, let's do this layer by layer. That's systematically is the way to do this stuff. Okay, I've got all the bits on the 150 contour. So let's go to the 125 contour. Right. Actually, it's good bottom up. That's probably better with this, isn't it? Okay, that bit is indeed that bit. There we go. It's like a weird triangle shape. I'm not sure if you can see it there. Okay. Oh, almost got that misaligned. That's pretty good. Lovely. Very nice, very nice. Thanks. It's technically my birthday in... yeah, it's my birthday back home now in London, so I will claim it is my birthday in the place where I was born, which is, as far as I can say, good enough. I have some presents to unwrap that were sent to me before all this happened, so I will get to those probably tomorrow morning. I do have Wednesday off, thankfully. I did take a day off. I'm not ridiculous. But Tuesday was full of important meetings. Wednesday was free. It's like, oh, I can have a belated birthday off. That's fine. It's important to have a little bit of time, especially like I'm going anywhere for my birthday. I'm kind of stuck here, right? But it's I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna make some delicious white chocolate and raspberry cookies, which are my favourite kind of cookie. Probably make some more clotted cream and scones because I've got pretty good clotting cream recently. A sous vide machine is the key to good clotted cream, I'm telling you. Pour cream into a pan, float it in there at 82 degrees Celsius, leave it in for like 6 hours, put it in the fridge, bam, clotted cream. Well, you got to scoop it off the top first and then throw the bottom layer away, but like it's pretty simple. Like I used to try and make clotted cream like on the hob, the stovetop, and you sit there, like I like monitor it and like turn it up and down, make sure it didn't, because if the cream gets too hot, it boils over and it ruins it. So having electronic control, so much better. Okay, this piece here has like 4 trees and a tiny lake. Ooh, that one? Maybe? Yeah, that's the one. There we go. I was also wondering, like, could I maybe print labels on these things? Because like the ones that have white space in the middle, I could definitely print labels on those. But the problem pieces are always these tiny top pieces, and there's no room to fit label on them whatsoever. So in the end, I was like, you know, part of the fun is just winging it, eh? Seeing how it goes. There we go. That's in place now. Thanks, Danny. This is it's fun, honestly. Like this is way more fun than I thought it would be. I thought I'd stream to kind of like make it a little less boring, but like, it's kind of great. I really like this, and this map's looking really nice. Like the hardest part, honestly, is gonna be framing this thing, right? Like they do not make frames for things that are like 4 centimeters deep. So I might have to figure that one out myself. Oh, I almost put that one on the wrong way around. There we go. Pop that there. Oh, yes. I think that's where all the lightning is in the game. It's a very lightningy area. Constantly storming. I love that. There's a place in South America, actually, I think, that is has like a lightning storm like 200 days of the year. It's always been on my list of places to go. Like for all the years I lived in San Francisco, and it's rather too nice weather, there was like one thunderstorm ever. I miss thunderstorms. They're fun. They are a bit more common out here in Colorado, I'm told. They're not super common. So I'm hoping to see one this summer, if the conditions are right. What we do get out here in Colorado, apparently, is golf ball size hail, though. So that's fun. A couple of years ago, it was so bad, I think every single rental car in the entire state was taken out because everyone else's car was in the shop being repaired. So we have a garage for the 2 cars because my boyfriend was like, by the way, the giant hail is a real big issue. We should probably make sure we're not going to be susceptible to that. So he was very wise about that one. So I look forward to seeing giant hail. Thankfully, I'm not yet a homeowner, so I don't have to worry about that bit of it. So I'm sure there must be insurance, that stuff out here. It is fun. Colorado has a very few natural disasters. I think the only one, like, because there's no earthquakes here, it's far too central. Oh, 3D printer frame. Get a piece of glass. Oh, the shadow box. Like, that's a good idea, Diane. Yeah. The shadow box thread. That would be really awesome. Having the shadow on this would be lovely. I need to look into that. But yeah, I do have the 3D printer behind me. I also have so one of the nice things is acrylic. Acrylic's super nice, super lovely when it's 3D cut. Sorry, when it's laser cut. You get a lovely, nice, clean edge. And I've got some like 1/4 inch thick pieces of acrylic I could use for like frame size and stuff. So that could be a good method as well. But yeah, no, shadow box, that would really be nice. Because like one of the good laser cut projects is shadow boxing. It's super nice. Like you don't need to print, like this is kind of over the top, right? It's my normal thing, like, oh, Andrew's going to do too much and it's going to fail the first 2 times and eventually work. But you can get some really nice results by just taking contours, cutting them out of pure cards, like no need for printing, any of that stuff, and just putting them on stuff. It looks really nice. There's kind of a beauty to the abstractness of it in that way. Okay, let's put this little one over here. It's got our friend the roads, so we know exactly where to place it. Oh, it's a little bit skittish though, a little bit movie around it. There we go. Come on, slide down, my friend. There we go. Lovely. It's important to talk to the pieces and make sure they understand that you're being nice to them. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Gosh, this is going pretty well. If I had any wood, I'd touch it. I don't. Okay, do we have? Oh, no, not that one. Oh, this one. Okay, it's mostly nondescript with a hook at the end. I imagine there's a very fun, weird party game where you try and describe these pieces to people. Like, oh, it's got like a weird circle in the middle, and then like a tiny hole and a hook, and people just go like, I don't understand what you're saying. All right, let's pop that on there. There we go. That's where one of the 4 starting shrines is. That is. I remember that pretty well. Honestly, like such a strong, well, actually no, not really a strong start. The game has kind of a very slow initial start, and then right after that, an incredibly strong start. So I forgive it for it's got to teach you the mechanics and tutorialize. It's understandable, but there's a moment like after that where you just like, you walk to the edge and it goes, oh, by the way, we have this giant map and just shows you it. And you're like, oh, wow. Like this is kind of what Skyrim promised and honestly did mostly deliver, but this is a much more designed way of doing it. Okay, that I think is that piece. Yeah, that's that piece. So one of the weird little things here, the lines I have in my picture here are slightly different. As I mentioned yesterday, I screwed up when printing this. It's meant to bleed the color into the white areas a little bit, and I forgot to put that in the code when we refactored it. So unfortunately, the white areas to put things on top of here are almost pixel perfect. They're very precise. And so I'm not that good with aligning the laser cutter, so I was never going to get that right. So I told the software to basically move the laser line out by 0.5 millimeter. So all these pieces are 0.5 millimeter bigger than they should be. So they cover up give me like a little bit of space to like move it around and hide something underneath it. So as a result, all the smaller the pieces are, the more the shape's deviated. Like on here, there's a huge notch out of that one. On here, it's a very tiny slice because it's kind of filled the gap there. Okay, let's get the other side of the dueling peaks here. Also, the dueling peak's looking pretty good in this version. A lot better than the small scale version. Oh, it's a really nondescript piece. Is it that one? Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, this is looking honestly really nice. Gosh, I should probably at least make a few of these for friends, if not make a small store out of them. If I can just solve the annoying tape peeling piece, this would be quite a fun thing to do in my spare time. Okay, what else are we missing here? So basically I'm trying to go through each layer now, because I've got the layer board up on my, let's see if I can show you. See if this will focus here, shall we? Not super well. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, that's not going to work. But I've got the layer board up on my laptop here, and I am just trying to go through each layer, get every single piece in that layer done, and then move up. Okay, I think that's this piece. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to pop this here. There we go. Now, if you play Breath of the Wild, of course, you will know that there are shrines in the game. There are a lot of shrines in the game. I think over 100 of them, like 125, 120 something like that. There's a lot of them, basically. And they're kind of like the other thing that's memorable. Like the map obviously is the most memorable, is why I'm making it, but like the shrines and like their locations are kind of like, when you see the map in game, it's never this plain. It's always got stuff, it's got like words and stuff written on it and tiny markers and everything. So part of me was like, well, should I, do that and have the shrines on here? Maybe there's like again, in case of like resin 3D print those. So like normal 3D printing, it's pretty basic, like the resolution's pretty bad. Like 3D printing like a plant pot is fine. You won't really notice the layer lines. But printing things this size, you definitely notice. And so, but resin printers, like I got a cheap resin printer. There's like a $300 resin printer you can get these days. It is astonishingly good. Like I got it late last year. I turned it on and I printed a piece. I could get that and show it off. It is really impressive. There we go, there's a few pieces. It's like you can get this, like this here is resin printed, and it is, let's see if we can get a focus on that actually. There we go. And it is like, you can barely tell that it's 3D printed. It feels almost solid. It's really fantastic. So that's kind of one of the things about resin printing. It's very good at that stuff. Okay, there we go. That's pretty good focus. Yes, this is Breath of the Wild map. This is that's kind of thing. What I did actually post I posted a little like a work in progress picture of this about 2 weeks ago on Twitter, and it was just like it was a very small slice, like this part of the map here. So I was like, well, some people will know, and some people will be like, oh, that's really familiar, where I've seen that before. Because like out of context, like if you just get a slice of the map, it's not obvious. It just looks a bit like a topological map. But there's a couple of people who are like, oh, I know that. What is it? And then when they saw my later tweet back Breath of the Wild, like, oh, of course, it's Breath of the Wild. So I was very pleased that like things that are not immediately obvious, but when you see them are like, oh, it's definitely that. I love those things. Like it's not quite gatekeeping, right? You're not keeping people out. It's just a fun surprise, and I love having fun surprises. Okay, so I'm trying to find this piece here, which is got a little lake in the middle of it, and I can't find it. So again, there's a chance that like I've dropped a piece, so I peeled them upstairs. So I may have to go find it in a second. Okay, well, we'll leave that one for now. I'll come back to that. It might be I'll just find it. Oh, is it under? Okay, it's not under there at least. It'll be somewhere. If not, I can make it and fix it up later. Okay. So this here, oh, it's lower level, is it? Okay. Looks good there. All right, so let's try and find that piece, which is going to be this level up. That one? Yeah, there we go. And it's going to put little lakes here on the bottom left side. Put that there. It's right next to one of the labyrinths. Which when I first saw the labyrinth, it's like, oh, I can see the entire labyrinth on the map. How hard can it be? And then you work out the game developers are incredibly sneaky. And sure, the labyrinth looks like something from the top. But actually, it's got underground passages, and so they kind of trick you. Like, oh, you can definitely go there and solve this maze. Like, no, like you've got to wander around, semi-confused for a while before you really figure out what's going on here. Okay, and then there's another thing with tiny lakes on it. Where are you? Oh, I think that is the right piece. Yes, there we go. Pop that on there. Lovely. Great. Ooh, how is that? That camera focus looks a bit off. Let me try and fix that actually. It's very hard to focus. There we go, that's better. It's very hard to focus a camera like this when you're too far away from the screen that it's playing off on, but yeah. When one is streaming from a basement, you try and do the best you can. Okay, let's see. This is looking honestly quite complete. I'm quite happy with this. So this piece here has a little lake on it, like that one. Ah, yes, that's the one. That way around. Tiny dab of glue. Make sure I place it the way around, like that. There we go. There are little sort of like tiny peninsulas in this one, so I can line it up perfectly with it. I do like when there's terrain markings like that. There we go. That looks lovely. Okay, and all right, I think so. This piece here needs doing. What is that? That's. Or is it? Oh, these two pieces look very similar. My goodness, which of those two is it? One's got a fort. Okay, that one's got a fort on it. It's got a fort on it. There we go. Pop that there. Lovely. It's got a fort on it right there. There we go. Oh, there's basically no holes left now. It's getting much better. Okay, I'm guessing that goes there. Yeah, that definitely goes there. Nothing else is that shape. I'm not even going to check on the map. You watch me regret this in a second. Like, oh, definitely nothing else could go there. Cut 3 minutes later. Oh, it's the wrong piece. Quick, pry it up. But yeah, it's the colour of the desert. It's got lines that match. I'm pretty sure about that one. All right, we're definitely getting there. Okay, the castle. The castle should be relatively obvious. Because the castle, oh, no, I say that and got it wrong the first time straight away. Oh goodness, which round does it go? That way round? Yeah. So the nice thing is the castle contour is kind of asymmetric, so you can line up just by looking at it like this. There's no need to, come on, a little bit of glue. There we go. There's no need to look up the dimensions of that one like the top of the volcano did. Okay. Oh, that slid. No, go back. There we go. Lovely. This is coming along really nicely. I'm very happy so far. And it's mostly flat. Like one of the problems, like last time I made this one here, the old laser printed one, I used this wet glue to bond the cardboard together, so it all curled up. Like I tried holding it in a press when it was drying, and that kind of fixed it, but it still curled too much. So the spray glue solution here, really holding nice and flat, even though it's not how it's supposed to do this. Having the proper, what is it called, chipboard, will really help in the future when that arrives. Okay, this is going to be that piece. Yeah, there we go. I'm just going to move this laptop up here so I can see the chat and stuff more easily. There we go. I can also see if YouTube tells me I'm dropping frames, but so far it says excellent connection. Thank you fiber internet is great. My big worry moving away from San Francisco was always I had pretty good internet in San Francisco. When it was first installed, it was like 800 megabit. It dropped a bit, but it was still like 300 or 400 megabit, which is astonishingly good. So it's why like, oh, Colorado, like you're not having good internet here. We moved here and it was like, oh, by the way, there is literally gigabit fiber in your area. And then I called them up and like it was CenturyLink. I've heard it was terrible, but it turns out CenturyLink fiber and CenturyLink, totally different people. CenturyLink fiber, incredible service, like rang them up. I did it online, they rang me up. I was like, oh, do you want to book it for 2 days time? Yeah, sure. Guy comes over, it's done in like an hour. He like texts me a picture of the Wi-Fi on the modem so I can just do it without going down here even. It was lovely. Really nice customer service. And it's like $65 a month, which is, in American terms, relatively cheap. Not in other terms. Like I was still shocked when I moved here how much mobile data cost. Oh, mobile data here is incredibly expensive. I miss my £5 for 2 gigabyte plans back in the UK. I think $60 for like unlimited is the best I've seen here. That's not too bad, but it's still so much more than some other countries. Okay, there we go. A little glue there. I'm just going to pull that glue off with the edge of this shop towel. There we go. The rest of it should dry clear, so you won't even see it. There's even I could even say like I should maybe spray this with clear coat or something to preserve it, but like the semi-gloss paper is pretty like water resistant and moisture resistant. Plus it's Colorado, like everything here is super dry. It's both great because everything dries quickly and like my 3D printer filament doesn't need to be dried, but also you just need lots of moisturizer. So it should be fine like in a wetness perspective. And the pigment in this stuff is rated for like 100 years. It's like fancy photo pigment from the photo printer. So fingers crossed, I'm not going to need to do too much other than just frame it with that lovely framing suggestions read earlier, and then pop it on the wall. Maybe pop it on the wall behind my webcam so I can show it to co-workers in a subtle fashion. Maybe showing off a bit too much, I don't know. There's this the weird game of like webcam backgrounds. Now everyone's working from home is odd. Like I was working from home for the last 6-7 months at least now. So like when this happened, I was kind of like, oh well, that's kind of what I've been doing anyway. Like I just changed to a new job that wasn't working from home, but now it was, so that's fine. So I was kind of prepared, and I had the webcam, I had the microphone, and everything. But it is funny seeing how everyone else has taken to it in different ways. Okay, that's done. I think everything on Contour 125 looks to be done. So let's go down a level here. Okay, that is good. Oh, maybe this one? No, okay, this piece is still missing. I'm worried about that. Oh, is it? Okay, if it's still missing at the end, I'll run upstairs, see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. So that is that one. Yeah, there we are. How long has it taken so far? Well, it's hard to think about project time, right? So in terms of like actual dedicated time on this, probably about 12 hours, but that's spread over like 3 weeks. So like there was the thinking about it, there was the initial attempt. So there's an earlier prototype, not sure it's gone, before I made this prototype here. I'm like, okay, I'm going to manually pull the height map. I'm going to manually load it into QGIS and make it trace contours. Took those into Inkscape and I did all the things by hand, and it took like 2 hours of clicking, and it was a massive pain. And in the end, I was like, well, it looks pretty good, but like I'm just going to sit down and spend another 2 hours, write software for all this. So I did that. I spent 2 or 3 hours, wrote all the software with Python. There's a lot of like handy libraries, thankfully, for all like removing holes and stuff. So I just basically strung together loads of existing libraries, fed it some geodata. It now spits out these nice pre-printable images and outlines. So once I got that done, I was like, cool. All you do now is just go and take those, print them, laser cut them. And so after that, most of the time was essentially testing methods. And so I was like, well, I've got several different materials I might want to use. You know, I tried this plywood here, which came out too thick and cut. I tried much thinner card. So I was basically tried a few of these like small little test squares, as it were, to sort of get my feeling for the right material. This was my sort of half or 1/3 scale test. You can see the color palette's a bit different here. This is laser printed, so laser printers can't do color super well, though I still quite like the way the color on the laser printer came out. It's kind of nice. It did a really good job of doing the contrast, which is rare for a laser printer. Still, that's like maybe like 3 or 4 hours of more of materials testing. And then after all that, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm ready to go. And so that's kind of where, like, I think Saturday, so like 3 days ago, I sat down and went, all right, I think it's time for the full scale one of this. I used my last, like 6 of my last 8 pieces of fancy photo paper to print these on. As I said earlier, I screwed up a little bit, but I fixed it. And then the last couple of days, I have been basically pasted all these boards together. So like each of these layers is 3 sheets of heavy poster board. I've got some right here. Where are we? Here we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. So this, let's pull up the wide shot here briefly, shall we? There we go. Yeah, so this is the basic poster board I start off with. It's pretty big, as you can see. It's certainly too big for this. So basically, start with this, slice it down to size, which takes a while by itself, and cut it down properly. And then once that's done, layer 3 sheets of that together, and that's like spray glue outside in the alleyway, because I don't want spray glue in here. That stuff stinks and is kind of toxic. And then let that dry flat, then spray glue the printed photo stuff onto it. And then that's kind of the easier part. And then after that, you basically go through, take each piece, you're gonna put this painter's or masking tape over every cut line, because if you don't do that, it like singes the edge. You can see it on the print. And that's kind of a laborious process. Then you laser cut it, which is like 3 or 4 minutes. If you are just tuning in now, you can roll back later. There's a video near the beginning of the stream where I show like some of the laser cut process. That's like 4 minutes of actual lasering. And then there's like an hour of peeling off that tape, because it's incredibly, like, it's not normally sticky. It normally peels off really easily. But for some reason on the texture of this paper, it is incredibly sticky. And getting it up requires like proper fingernail usage. I'm glad I didn't trim them too much. It is just a lot. So that was kind of the main problem with all that stuff. But after that, like, it wasn't too bad. Okay, so I'm missing a couple of pieces here. Interesting. I bet I left some upstairs, eh? Still, we can keep going with these ones. Okay, well that maze definitely goes in that corner. Let's go down a level here. Yeah, that definitely goes up in that corner. That we can do over here. Like that. My naive contouring of this just cut it at like 0, 25, 50, 75. And the sea level in Wrath of the Wild for some reason is like 36. And so it starts merging all the land with the sea. So these contours are all equal except the sea level, which is cut exactly 1 meter, whatever the unit is, above sea level. And so the sea is deliberately kept lower than the land around it, so you get that nice coastline effect. That's the only real sort of like massaging of data I did on this one, is to cut that one contour slightly a different height. Otherwise, it's pretty much all the same stuff. Okay, I'm gonna wonder. Okay, there's not many pieces left now. Okay, that one goes there. There we go. I think most of them are these inland pieces here. So we'll get those done in a second. And then I'll finally do this big tower over here, and then have a hunt around briefly for the final pieces. And whether I find them or not, I'll then try and get some nice close-up shots for you all of this when it's finished. And then I'll go and relax and probably have some delicious ice cream. Okay, that thing looks pretty suspicious. It's got a big lake in it, apparently. That one? Yeah, there we go. Pop that on there. There was a worrying thing earlier in the week where I tried to go and buy glue, and for some reason the shops were all out of glue, which is not the thing I expected places to run out of during a pandemic, but the weirdest things have happened recently, so, you know. But thankfully I went back the next day, they had plenty of glue, so I got a couple of bottles of that. Okay, now this piece, I remember used to be a single piece, and it's now 2 pieces, so it's, oh no, it's a single piece. Oh nice, okay. There we go. So this one, not you can see it very well. used to be a very tiny flimsy piece. On the on this miniature version, like where is it on here? It's very, very small. Oh, I can't see it there. It's very, very small. It came apart when I tried to paste it down. So thankfully the scaling up of this has really helped considerably with making these. Like the pieces here are the same size relatively as on there. So like all the small pieces here are like 1/3 the size on the scale version. So it is just, it was kind of a nightmare doing that one. And some of them are wrong for that reason, but it's a prototype. So like, oh, it's a prototype as long as it looks roughly good. Like you honestly can't tell unless you look really close. There we go. It's there's a bit of river and road on this one, so got to make it line up good, otherwise it'd be really obvious. There we go. Yeah, the river being up there kind of shows the height map I'm going from is not perfectly accurate. It's kind of low res. That's fine. Okay, this is like a weird J shape. There's a weird J shape. Yeah, that's the one. Pop that there. That'll do. Oh, not enough glue apparently. Let's try that again. There we go. Just need a bit more pressure. I'm going to line that up a little bit better because I can tell where it's supposed to be. There we go. All right. This piece is that piece. Yeah, there we go. Oh, definitely getting there now. Feels like the home stretch. Though, of course, I'm leaving the worst bit till last. Okay. Looking very nice. This piece here is that piece here. Lovely. Any plans to use resin for water fuses? Oh, that's a good point, Diane. So if you're not familiar, everyone, like resin for water features is one of those things that a lot of modelers do. It's this stuff. Weirdly, I first saw it on this program called the Great British Model Railway Challenge, which is weirdly, I don't mean model railways, weirdly compelling program. But like it dries like water and looks really good. And like, yeah, you're totally right. You could definitely use it here for the water features. I'm not sure I would because my understanding is resin has this wonderful like knack of escaping and like bleeding everywhere. And this is certainly not watertight. But yeah, it could be nice. The problem is on this map, there's a lot of water. And I think getting them all to do resin properly would be like, maybe if you do like subsections of this, right? Like just like, you know, like I think about maybe just like doing an enlarged version of this corner, which is my favorite part of the game, just blowing that up, like that up to the full size of this map. So maybe for that kind of stuff you could do it because there's only a couple of ponds there and they're all self-contained. But for now, I was like, even though I do over-engineer things, at some point I'm like, I have to make this, you know, makeable. And so this is one of those things. But yeah, that would be nice. There's a lot of options. Like one of the things I love about maps is you have so many options, so many ways of like making them and changing them. And like I've always wanted to try and do a good travel log map, and that's proved really hard to get working properly. Resin is kind of icky sometimes and smelly. And acrylic mediums, yeah, that's true. Yeah, like the resin for the 3D printer is awful. I'm doing this, obviously a different kind of resin, but yeah, like I try not to use things that are liquid too much because they're just goopy and annoying. But yeah, I love trying to write to use it. That would be super nice. I wonder if you can like maybe cast it and like place it in place. That could be fun. Because like I've done a bit of casting before. I'm not very good at it, like most things in making, but I'm enough to be dangerous, which is the key thing. Okay, so that piece is a wall. This piece is a wall, but this piece is this one, it looks like. Okay, so 2 pieces, not too bad for things that have gone missing. I do have some normal letter size pieces of stuff I can reprint on if I need to, for any pieces I've missed. And the program does support like, hey, just do these 2 pieces. At least if I coerce it to manually. Oh. Okay, right. I I will go and find the other two pieces in a second. They're probably stuck on me somewhere or under the floor, whatever. But until then, we have the thing I've been dreading for a long time, which is this corner of the map here. So this is basically one of the highest things on the map. And it has not 1, not 2, not 4, not 6, not 8, but 9 different levels. And as you can probably see somewhat from this camera, they all look pretty much identical. Like, there's slight differences. That's probably the bottom one, but like I'm gonna have to sit here and really like these middle layers and to really carefully study which one is which here. Okay. So the one saving grace I have is that they are technically all slightly smaller than each other. So as long as they sit on top of each other and behave that way, I should be all right. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that's the bottom one, which I can confirm by placing its outline. Indeed it is. Lovely. That was helped somewhat by it being the same colour as the valley floor. There we go. Okay. So our next guess is one of these two, because they've both got that kind of dark brown colour. Okay, that one looks slightly smaller than that one. Let's check. Oh yeah, there we go. Totally. Okay, those two. I'm actually going to stick these together off of the map for now. So it's probably be a little bit easier to do them like this. Yeah, I think a GoPro and an arm here would be good for this kind of stuff in the future. So you get like a proper close-up view of just how fiddly this is. Okay, like I haven't. Okay, well this is clearly the top. We can do that. Let's try and eliminate options here. That way I can only screw up 4 times rather than 8. There we go. There we go. Come on. You know where to go in. There we are. Lovely. Yes, thanks, Liz. 7 factorial ways to arrange these is a very small number. Like, what could possibly go wrong with that? Okay, yeah, these look identical. What am I supposed to do? That's probably slightly bigger than that one. I guess they are truly identical. At some point, it doesn't matter. Okay, that is slightly smaller. There we go. There we go. That might be that one there. Let's try this one on top. Oh, I think that one's a bit bigger than that one. Let's try the way around. There's like a tiny edge on each piece that is exposed. Okay, no, it was right the first time. Gosh. Yeah, maybe I will make it print the layer numbers on the inside parts on where it can, because that would help all these kind of things significantly. Because I guess like when you've got pieces on top that have detail, they've got detail, you can place them. All these just have this cross-hatching in them, so I think it would be wise to use that space for something other than just pure cross-hatching. Okay, time to commit to this particular layout. I'm going to try and line up the edge of the map here nice, so it doesn't look too bad. There's a hair. I don't want a hair in it. Get off. There we go. Oh no! I put a piece down. Where did that go? There. Yes. Okay. Oof. For a second there, I was worried I got it in the wrong order. Okay. There we go. And this is funny because this is the only piece of the map which is not reachable in game. It's purely background. But when you pull the map assets in the game, it's also the only thing on the map assets that is part of the main map tiles. And so I felt kind of compelled to put it in. I did almost crop it basically along this line here to remove it, but at some point I kind of wanted to keep it. I could even airbrushed it out and just removed it from the terrain data, but it's like, no, you know what? Like, it's on the source map. I want to be somewhat true to the original content here. I'm going to put it in, even if it is kind of boring and annoying. I do wonder if in a sequel to that game they will make this area a real place. So that kind of, it's like, well, if they expand the actual map and go further out, that could make it more important too. Because like in the game, they there's this huge valley around, there's like the sea or valley around the map, and they're both impassable. That's their trick to keeping you on the main landmass. And trust me, I've tried to get over there, and you really can't. Okay, this is looking quite decent, actually. I can't see any cross-hatching, which is honestly all I care about. So I doubt anyone's memorized how the cliff edge looks at the end of the edge of the map. Okay, those are glued together. There we go. One dab there, and a bigger dab here. Push that down. And there we go. Lovely. All right, so now all we have are our two AWOL pieces that have gone somewhere. So I am going to go and look for those briefly because I would quite like to find them and finish the map. Let's pull up the wide shot here. So yeah, I'm going to try and find those. In the meantime, I'm just going to play that video from earlier with the laser cut on it again. So if you haven't seen it, you just tuned in, you can see sort of the 4 or 5 minute excerpt of like what it's like to actually do this. It's up in the garage upstairs. So yeah, I'm going to have to probably run across the computer, rewind it. I'll cut to it, and if not, I'll rewind it and play it, and then I'll be back in a little bit here, hopefully with the missing pieces. Thanks, me. So you join me here in the garage, and we're here to cut a few more of the sheets for the map. So first things first is I've already masked these ones. If you watched my previous live stream, you'll see me doing this very slowly and systematically. But essentially every single edge the laser is going to cut through, we've masked off with this blue painter's tape. That's to stop the laser discoloring the edges as it goes through. It's not actually the laser, it's the smoke that comes from it, but it leaves this weird yellowish orange color on the paper. So we've masked it to prevent that. The tape will catch the smoke and we'll peel it off later, hence painter's tape. It leaves no residue, and that will help us do everything. So time to put this in. I know this is page 5. I've got the reference up on my computer here. So I'm going to place it in, and I'm going to line up the outline of it manually because I haven't still yet got a good registration system for lining it up automatically. So you can see here the laser interior. In particular, there's a small red dot under the laser head right here. Now, that red dot isn't the actual cutting laser. It's a secondary laser that you use for positioning, but it goes through the same optics. So we know that where that dot is where that actual laser is going to cut later on. So my first task is to line up that corner like this with the corner of this black outline. In the software, I made it output an outline around the edge of the piece. Let's put it about there. And in the output, both the picture and the cut lines have this built-in rectangle. So I use it for manual registration, that is lining up of where everything is. Okay, that looks pretty good, at least by eye. It's probably not correct, so I'm going to run what's called a framing command, which will make the laser go around what it thinks is the edge. Okay, that's pretty spot on left-right, but it's a bit off in the vertical. So reposition it very slightly and try again. Okay, taking a closer look, I can tell it's rotated slightly. So the nice thing is this honeycomb here is on magnets rather than being bolted down, so I can manually move it a little. Oh, that's still a bit off. There we go, let's try that. Oh, that's much better. Okay, almost bang on. One more tiny tweak. Of course, if you do it wrong, you can ruin the whole thing by just moving your hands. There we go. Now, by eye, that looks pretty much dead on. So we are going to close the lid. So I positioned the laser outside of the protective top here. That's why it's colored a little yellow. It blocks the wavelength of the laser, so it's not going to harm me or the optics of this rather expensive camera. In future, I'm going to try to get a GoPro directly inside there because it's almost certainly going to be fine. But for now, we'll just view it from outside. So now I've got the cut in. I'm going to make sure I've got my air flowing. So I've got my exhaust fan. You can probably hear that in the background as a low hum. That draws the air out We're also going to turn on the compressor. That's going to push the air through the nozzle to prevent smoke going into it. Smoke going into the nozzle is bad because it tends to get on the focus lens and the mirrors and generally defocus the lens and make it melt itself rather than the thing below it. So good, we're ready to go. The temperature looks pretty good on the chiller, so let's hit go. So this whole process takes a while. This one's estimated to run in at about 4 minutes. So we'll jump ahead a little bit and see how it looks like after the end. All right, so now we've finished cutting, so we can open the chamber, make sure the head is as far back as it can go, and just make sure we've cut through properly. So I'm going to lift the edge here, and you can see some nice clean cuts through. It's pulling away very nicely there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on these to keep them in place as I lift this out. All right, I've taped it all up, so we're going to lift it out, make sure it's going to hold together. Oh, I missed one piece. I always miss one piece. But there we go. So I'll get to cutting a few more of these, and until then, back to you in the studio. All right, so I have been on a little adventure and they are gone, or at least they're gone somewhere, I don't know where they are. So I know they printed it out because like here is the sheet and this hole right here is the one where it was supposed to be. So at some point it's dropped through. I checked the laser cutter, not the laser cutter. I checked up in my study where I peeled them, not there either. And they're not here. And I checked, they're not stuck to me because, you know, never know what's going to happen underneath here. So yeah, I will find them, but I think for now, I'm not going to sit here all night trying to find them. So of course, as soon as I turn the stream off, they'll probably turn up. But in the meantime, I can call this pretty much done. 2 missing pieces, I can live with that. I'll find them or reprint them, it's all right. So let's get the camera over here, have a bit of a closer look, and then we'll call it a night. All right, so I'm going to pop that right here. That's probably the better camera for this, so let's go get that one. This will be a fun game of trying not to tangle the cables. Okay, the HDMI cable is the shortest one. Let's put it over here. So you can see here, this is the old one, which has those lovely colours on it. And over here, we have the new one. So the colours are a little bit richer. It's a bit more brown and red and green. But that level of detail that I was looking for, I think really is here still. It's looking really nice. And like it's got that lovely effect where the individual contours are not too high. And the features are still visible. Okay, over here you can see, like, let's try and get a side-on view here. You can see you've got a good amount of height on all these features. And things like these waterfalls right here. Oh, there we go. Like the lakes and the mountains all look lovely. And as I mentioned earlier, the dueling peaks over there, they're not quite as prominent as I'd like them, but they're not too bad either. I think I'll take that. It's come out pretty well. So yeah, I am pretty happy with that one. As always, these projects, you know, like missing two pieces, like I will find them or reprint them. It'll be all right. Okay, let's pull this back. And oh, it's at a fun angle. Look at that. Dutch angles here, live streaming. Let's undo that one, shall we? Why is it like that? Oh gosh. There we go. Oh, I know why, because I put it on the tripod on the wrong way around. That's fine. So pop that off. Live production, people. Live production. This is the way it works. You can see behind the mask. Oh, there's the light. Have fun. And mic. Well, I'm not using that mic today. For some reason, that drop mic has really bad noise in it right now, so I'm avoiding using it. There we go. That's about the right shot. Cool. So yeah, that's the mostly done build. Sorry that I promised a full build and there are two pieces missing, but that's the way of making live, I guess. I will go and find them or reprint them later tonight. Shouldn't be too hard to do those quickly. And then I'll put some nice pictures and probably a proper edited video and stuff up. And yeah, hope you enjoyed watching this. I'll probably be back with more maps in the future. If you do have ideas for maps, please leave a comment or in the chat or something like that. Because like, if you have like a good idea of like, here is a map I would like probably like a drawn map or like an old map, historical map, and it looks really nice and we have like the height map data, I'd like to kind of throw one of those together. So any ideas are welcome. But until then, have a lovely night wherever you are, and I will see you next time.